Well, would you look at that. When Mojang released Minecraft 1.2, they changed snow golems so that they now burn in the nether. They should have called it the realism update, cause, I mean, look at that. You know, as much as this change makes sense, it does kind of make snow golems completely useless in combat, since the only mob they could damage was blazes. Granted, would you ever seriously use them for that purpose? No, you wouldn't, but it was cool that it existed. Now, it may seem strange to open a discussion of Minecraft 1.2 on something that is absolutely not the main feature of the update, but that is because it actually does connect to the version's arguably biggest feature. Not only do snow golems burn in the nether now, they also burn in a brand new biome, the jungle. Also deserts, but I don't want to talk about those yet. I always forget that jungles weren't always a part of Minecraft. I think that's because 1.2 was the first Minecraft version I ever played, and it really isn't that different of an experience to play this one than it is to play 1.0. But jungles are one of the most defining features of 1.2 because of their exclusive features and how different they are from other biomes of the time. First thing you'll notice when going into one of these is just how tall the trees are. These things are massive, way more than any other tree in the game. I've always appreciated the design of the jungle tree. It's useful because it's an incredibly easy wood source to collect with a lot of volume, but it's also unique and cool. And in a sandbox game, you don't really need much more than that, especially out of, you know, a tree. But jungles are more than just trees and grass. They have their own exclusive mob, the ocelot. On their own, ocelots don't do much, but if you feed a wild ocelot some fish, it will instantly turn into a tamed cat that loves you. Okay, maybe we shouldn't call it the realism update. Ocelots are very skittish. They run all over the place and can be a pain to get close up to and feed. But if you successfully tame one, cats are a pretty cool pet. Makes a lot of sense since dogs were already in the game. From my experience though, dogs are a lot more common and better than cats, so you'll probably only be getting cats if you just, you know, really like them, which is a valid reason. They don't attack mobs like dogs do, but they do have one unique usage over them. They scare away creepers, so keeping one at your house is pretty useful. That's about it though. I've always found it kind of weird that dogs attack mobs for you, but cats don't. Both wolves and ocelots can be pretty aggressive outside of Minecraft, so you'd think that would translate here, but it doesn't. I guess Mojang just wanted there to be fundamental differences between owning a cat and owning a dog. That's fair, but the result is that one pet is definitively better than the other. Ocelots weren't the only new mob added to 1.2 though, we also got the brand new Iron Golem. While snow golems barely require any resources to summon them, Iron Golems need 4 whole iron blocks to summon. Which yeah, after you've played long enough, that really isn't too much, but it's still quite a bit in the early game. Unlike their snowy relatives, Iron Golems are incredibly strong, one of the strongest mobs in the game in terms of raw damage output, and they'll attack anything that attacks it. That includes you. Yeah, these guys are neutral mobs, so generally I wouldn't willingly use 36 iron to summon one of these other than the reason of just liking their design. Although if you have a village house or something like that, Iron Golems do naturally defend villages and will kill any hostile mob in the area. So if a bunch of zombies storm the village, Iron Golems will protect it for you, and that just makes life so much more convenient. My brother used to torture villagers by blowing up their houses and burning down their buildings in super flat worlds, and it was because of this that I discovered that Iron Golems even existed, so thanks for your service. You guys want to talk about a weird item? How about the fire charge? These have the exact same purpose as the flint and steel item, except now you need to use blaze powder, coal, and gunpowder for 3 uses. When I first discovered this item, I was so confused. Why make an actively worse version of something cost more than the better alternative? A long time later, I figured out that when put in a dispenser, fire charges shoot out like a ghast's fireball. I still don't get it. Even with this extra use, I don't know, I've never really found these to be worth much. It's a nifty effect, I guess, but when the only thing that sets you apart from a cheaper and more efficient alternative is how it works in a dispenser, I just don't really see a reason to make these. Maybe you can make a trap out of this or something, I don't know. An item that does make sense to me though is the Bottle of Enchanting, an item that makes getting XP a whole lot easier. This is only accessible in the creative mode inventory, just like in real life. Now I'm not so sure anymore. With how hard XP is to come by in 1.2 since mining ores doesn't give it, having an easy source of it for creative mode users is great. Creative mode should make it easy to access every single thing in the game, and before this you had to use the same method survival players did to get XP. And you can't even see the amount of levels you have in the creative mode hotbar. If you were enchanting something, you were doing it blindly. Granted, Levels aren't usually important in creative mode, but I'm glad the option exists. And you can still put bottles of enchanting in survival maps and stuff like that for people that play those, so there are contexts in which these do something. There's really not much more to 1.2, but there are some pretty interesting changes to the blocks. For one, sandstone and stone bricks got their own brand new variants. Don't get too excited. You can make smooth or cut sandstone by placing 4 sandstone blocks like this. That's nice. Then the chiseled variant for sandstone requires 2 slabs placed on top of each other like this. I really like the unique design, even if I don't know how I'd fit it into a build. Of course, chiseled stone bricks are the same way. You put 2 stone brick slabs in a crafting table and... What? How do you craft these then? What do you mean these are creative mode exclusive? It's the same thing as chiseled sandstone. Look, I understand why spawn eggs and bottles of enchanting aren't in survival. You don't want your survival players getting access to mob spawning and free XP. I get that. But why are chiseled stone bricks right there with them? There is no reason for these to be creative mode exclusive. They're a purely aesthetic block with variants that are already in survival. Now I'll address the elephant in the room. Chiseled sandstone and stone bricks aren't directly labeled as such yet. They just say sandstone and stone bricks. However, they both get this label not long after this version, and chiseled stone bricks stays uncraftable. It doesn't make sense regardless. What did survival players do to you, Jeb? What did they do to deserve this? Regardless, these 3 blocks are good building blocks. I like that they're here. I just don't get why one of them is exclusive to creative mode. Going back to the topic of sandstone though, regular sandstone is a part of the brand new desert well structure. They exist! Look, there's no real use for these aside from slightly more convenient access to water, but who cares? The design is visually appealing and adds more character to deserts. Why not include it? Same goes for redstone lamps. This is an interesting addition and one I really like for decoration. It's the only light source in the game that you can enable and disable at will. I think it makes certain more realistic builds better since in real life you wouldn't light up your room with torches. Now it's 3-to-1. Okay, maybe not, I forgot about those. But I like redstone lamps. They're a valid addition that is a unique kind of light source. The last major thing 1.2 added was... wooden planks? What? Look, I got a good amount of footage for 1.0 and 1.1, and I didn't even notice that there was only one kind of wooden planks. I had to go back to an older version just to make sure I wasn't tripping, but no, 1.2 is what gave us multiple variants, even though we already had 3 log variants before it. The old wood plank design was given exclusively to oak trees, while birch, spruce, and the new jungle trees all got their own designs. This is actually a pretty substantial addition, and one I never see talked about with this version. These wood variants have been used a ton in builds over the years, and it allows for better, more diverse builds. But you can still only make oak stairs, slabs, fences, fence gates, and pressure plates, so it feels like they didn't want to go all the way with this, which I don't really get. From a broader perspective, 1.2 is a very similar update to 1.1 in that it came out not long after the previous update and focused more on the smaller things. I said 1.1 was a very well designed update because of how it did that. I'll be real though, I think 1.2 gets less of a pass. I like iron golems, I like jungles, and at least 1.2 adds blocks and items other than spawn eggs. But for an update that is meant to be smaller and focused on making the already existing experience better as opposed to adding a ton of new content, 1.1 does that a lot better while 1.2 kind of stays in the middle. Sure, there's good things to 1.2 and definitely more you can point to and call an addition, but I'd say 1.1 is more important and better overall. I'd take super flat worlds, spawn eggs, language support, bow enchantments, and easier access to apples over iron golems, jungles, wood variants, and bottles of enchanting any day. The only thing that makes that at all close to me is wood variants. That's a great addition that it would be hard to imagine Minecraft without. It's also not entirely well implemented since, as I said earlier, only the planks are changed, not what the planks are used to craft. So even with what I consider to be one of the most integral changes of 1.2, I have issues with it. It's still a fine update, but I really wish they leaned more into quality of life aspects like optimizing the controls that I still am not big on. We've gone through a couple updates at this point and there's still no sprint key or ability to change your perspective key or any of the inventory keys. Just doing one of those slight changes would do wonders in making the game less clunky to control and make Minecraft much better. But I would also take chiseled stone bricks being taken out of the creative mode inventory. Why is it like this?